they were concerned about what was going on, and a bunch of sportsmen got together, sportsmen and women got together, with the goal of creating the nation's first comprehensive mass media campaign. And they wanted to explain to the non-hunting public the importance of science-based wildlife management and the vital roles hunters and anglers play in wildlife management. So they formed this thing called the Wildlife Council, and they actually work closely with the government. They got government funding. It's all done through a surcharge, and they came up with Hug a Hunter, Hug an Angler, and it's been very successful. They have a surcharge on all their hunting license at $3, hunting and angling for this campaign, and it's mandated spending. The government has to, they can't not spend it. So it's kind of like the money that goes from HCTF to wildlife in BC, it's mandated. They have to spend the money for that purpose, which is a significant thing because they can't just arbitrarily change it. It's legislated in their constitution or in their laws. So they've been very successful. 7 out of 10 would vote against hunting restrictions, and 30% or more are now more supportive of sportsmen. And this is all being managed by an organization called the Nimrod Society. So Nimrod Society is doing this one under the Wildlife, what was it called? The Wildlife Council. And they're also doing it in Michigan. Michigan's numbers aren't as pretty. They actually have had less success. I've been reading about what's gone on there. Colorado has actually been quite a successful model with this, but Michigan, I've noticed that their numbers are not as positive. This is another group, the Sportsmen's Conservation Alliance. This one's close to home. This is a BC-based organization, and they talk about political advocacy, and they sort of talk about the same things we do. So a person's right to hunt and fish is a human right, and they fight for the hunt. So the thing is, our messaging is not targeted. Our messaging is a little bit different. And I'm going to let Adam talk to that, but their messaging is quite a bit different than what we're doing. I think they're trying to achieve the same thing, but they're not doing it in the same fashion. And I'll let Adam to speak to what we're doing, and then we can come back to that if anyone has any questions. So what are we doing? We're doing our Hunter Heritage campaign. We formed that committee in March, and that was done at the board level. We had board support for it. It was a unanimous decision. And again, this was after consultation with our members. We sent emails out and put it on our website asking and soliciting for feedback on it. And not one person said don't do it. Like I said, there was about 20 people that said they support it, and there was good and compelling reasons for it. And some people wrote a lot of information about it. Internally, we're referring to it as our Hunter Heritage Program, and this is our mission. This is the mission statement that we came up with at the board level when we started Hunter Heritage. It is to oversee the design of a comprehensive public media-based program to educate the general public about the benefits of wildlife management, and wildlife-related recreational opportunities, specifically hunting. So that's what we're trying to achieve through Hunter Heritage. So this is really important, and I've been very clear, and I've been trying to, in our communications, and we've talked about this at the committee level, is make sure that our members understand that this program is not being funded by our conservation dollars. We're first and foremost a conservation organization. Our mandate is to look after wild sheep in the province of BC, and that's always going to be our primary focus. What we've done is we've solicited member support. We have occasionally had items that we have sold under the Hunter Heritage banner, and you'll see a couple things tomorrow night at our auction. So that moose hunt was donated, and the donor asked that this money go to our Hunter Heritage campaign. There's 2 or 3 other items. We're going to do an optics raffle in the spring. We're going to announce it in the next couple weeks. All that money is going to go to our Hunter Heritage. So when we do this, we're telling our members, and then they have the right to choose. So if you don't want to spend your conservation dollars on Hunter Heritage, we respect that, absolutely. But there are a few things out there that you will see for Hunter Heritage that we will communicate to you, and you can decide whether or not you want to spend on it. So those items will go to that purpose, but we have not yet used any of our conservation dollars for this, and that's our plan, is that we do not want to do that at this point. I'm not saying that at some point our members want to change or there's a discussion at the board level, but if we ever did that, certainly when I'm involved, I'd be very clear about communicating what we're doing. So that's a very important piece of this project. We've got over $100,000 in donations so far, and commitments. 4 Monarch members themselves contribute over $56,000. That's 4 people that have done this. That's absolutely phenomenal, the support we've gotten for this program. And what we've done is we've got our Monarch membership, and Monarchs have the opportunity to spend the money where they want. As long as it's a program that we support, they can spend it. They can spend it on membership, they can spend it on conservation, and they can actually designate specifically what conservation project they want it on. And these members, and we had no intention when we built the Monarch program to use it for this purpose. We built the program, and lo and behold, the #1 Monarch member, David Heitzman, bought it and said, I wanted to go to Hunter Heritage, and we're like, oh, okay. So anyway, we got our seed funding for that. Now with that, we've also got a number of other donors. A bunch of people have stepped up. Like I said, when we initially ran the campaign, we had over $60,000 in donations, and that was before a bunch of these Monarchs stepped on board. Recently, we've had just today, the BC Wildlife Federation signed a document, and they've given us $30,000 to this program. So the BCWF is a big supporter of what we're doing. The BCWF wanted to contribute it to the distribution of it, so that what their money is going to go to is, this is our own program. Hunter Heritage and 1Campfire is a Wild Sheep Society BC program. We own it and manage it 100%. And the BCWF's money, as per the contract and their request, is going to go to getting this message out into the mainstream of public of BC. So we've also had JABC contribute $5,000, and a number of other fishing gaming clubs have contributed. We're actually running a campaign for fishing gaming clubs right now, that for every $500 they donate, we're going to put their name in a draw. We have a rifle giving away, which was donated to us for that purpose, and we're going to draw one of those groups that will get that way for that purpose. With that money, we looked at a number of options. Initially we looked outside our community. We thought, maybe we're doing this wrong. Maybe we haven't quite got the narrative right. We feel in the past we haven't necessarily always resonated with the non-hunting public. Maybe we need to go outside our own community. So initially we actually looked beyond our own community. We looked in, and we spoke directly with a marketing firm that dealt with this sort of thing. And the one thing that Adam and we all agree is where we failed is we keep saying hunting is conservation, but we're not showing it. We're not telling that story correctly. And I met with this group, and the first guy said, "I've got your story name, or I've got the name for your campaign." He goes, "It's the conservationist." I'm like, "No, that's what we're trying to avoid." Anyway, we sat down with them, and after discussions with them, Mike and I sat down. We felt that they weren't understanding the root of our problem. They wanted to tell a story about conservation. It wasn't about social license. They couldn't quite grasp it, and I'm not sure if it was just that firm. Fast forward a few months, we had discussions with Adam. Adam had come out to the Jurassic Classic and spoke specifically on this issue, and it was just a corollary because it was an issue that we were having with the grizzly bear hunt having been recently canceled and all this waning social license, so it was very timely. And so after the Jurassic, we started talking to Adam, and Adam started, and I've heard a lot of his work. And so after much consultation and a lot of talk, we decided, and Adam came up with some concepts and some thoughts. And so we actually, as a board, voted to contract Monashee Media to build the brand for 1Campfire. So the important dates, we launched this in February 2019 at Sheep Show in Reno. And we basically released this product, 1Campfire, to our internal community. And we shared that on the main stage. Jim Shockey did the introduction for us on the video, which we had Monashee go and do the video for. And now this is targeted for a spring 2019 release to the non-hunting public, our target audience. We're just talking about this one thing to differentiate, and Adam will go into this in more detail, but our target is the non-hunting public, the non-hunting urban public, the people that will decide whether or not we have a social license to hunt. We're not targeting the anti-hunting community, and we're not targeting our own community. Yes, we're looking to our own community for funding sources, but we don't need to tell the story here anymore. We know the story. We don't need to figure out that hunting is okay. We all believe that, and we don't want to change, we don't need to change the anti-hunting community's perception, because we're not going to do it. We're going to waste energy there. We want to target that 80% right there. That's who we're after with this program. I guess I kind of got ahead of myself with that. So there's the logo for 1Campfire. So this is the campaign. So I've got the video. Should I run the video? And then do you want to talk about the brand?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a slideshow that I built for myself, but Adam's going to fill us in. So most of you have probably seen this, but this is our first video that
the perception of hunting, has changed. It's our duty now, our responsibility as hunters, to change it back. We spent the last few decades trying, espousing that message, preaching that message about wildlife conservation. It's fallen on deaf ears, all of our attempts. I think what we have to do is maybe appeal to the emotional side or the visceral side. We have to tell our story. We know what we are. We know how deeply we care about wildlife. It's just the people out there that are voting to get rid of hunting, they don't understand our stories. Sometimes we have to translate it to something that they understand.
My name is Ryan. I'm 38, a father of 2, and I've been a chef for over 20 years. Growing up on the coast, I've always had a connection to harvesting game food. At a young age, my grandfather exposed me to fishing, prawning, crabbing, and finding everything the ocean had to offer. Yeah, bad boy. When I got into hunting, it felt very natural to me, and was an easy transition from hunting for my food in the ocean to hunting my food on land. I love it in here, it's awesome, hey? When I'm in the forest, I see food all around me, from mushrooms to fiddleheads to a deer. Hunting is not just about finding an animal, it's about the whole experience. Being outside and searching for our food. It's so easy to go to the grocery store to buy steak.